happy just as long as she's with me. I've been trying my luck every day of the week, yeah. With my baby, what's up? Always down every weekend. No, I love her too much, but I just can't get enough. She's slipping through the cracks.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Special thanks to Georgia Ford for holding it down with heard it. It was adorable. If you saw it, it was even more adorable. But shout out to our sister for being like the height of the professional working mom, holding it down. So it was a beautiful thing to me. Somebody should cut that segment, but only if you get permission from the mom first, because those are the type of things that really, that's the reality. That's the reality of our world right now. And I think it's a good reality. The reality of us being able to do what we do with, and I honestly couldn't tell if it was my kids or hers. So I just absolutely love that. Unfortunately, I have to shift my joy to disappointment, but not surprise. I am not surprised with what happened overnight with the Supreme Court because, well, when Amy Coney Barrett was appointed, when Brett Kavanaugh was appointed, and when Neil Gorsuch was appointed by Donald Trump, we knew that this was going to happen. I want to begin, and this is from the ACLU breaking overnight. The Supreme Court has not responded to our emergency request to block Texas's radical new 6-week abortion ban, SB 8. The law now takes effect. Access to almost all abortion has just been cut off for millions of people. The impact will be immediate and devastating. The law bans abortion as early as 6 weeks into pregnancy, before many people even know they're pregnant. The result is that many Texans will be forced to carry pregnancies against their will. Private individuals, including anti-abortion activists with no connection to patients, can now sue anyone. If you're thinking, well, Ben, why do I care about this? Because this is not an issue that I don't know why this would not be an issue that you would be concerned about. But the next part right here is the kicker. Private citizens, including anti-abortion activists with no connection to patients, can now sue anyone who they believe is providing abortion or assisting someone in accessing abortion after 6 weeks. The law doesn't just allow these lawsuits. Here's the kicker. It doesn't just allow these lawsuits. It actively encourages private individuals to act as bounty hunters by awarding them with at least $10,000 if they are successful. This is a quote from CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky. Universal. We'll get to that in a second. I just want to absolutely highlight the nefarious nature of the intentions of this bill in Texas, and by passing on this, by punting on it, by not responding, the Supreme Court has effectively ended abortions in the state of Texas. And so goes Texas, so goes the rest of the country. We're going to talk about this more throughout the week because this is happening in real time. But this is the result of the election of Donald Trump. And no matter how against abortions somebody may be as an individual, because there's plenty of religious people who are not, and non-religious people who are simply opposed to abortions. That is whatever your prerogative may be. But we can most certainly say that this bill is not meant to do anything but to be punitive against people. And and I got to make one more distinction here, because the people who can afford to leave Texas will be able to get abortions. The people who cannot afford to leave Texas will not. You do the math. I want to go back to Afghanistan for a moment before we look at a couple of videos from Right Wing Watch. I want to flesh this out a little bit because I called it yesterday, and it's not to say I told you so, but it is to say that I had every expectation that Joe Biden was going to be his curmudgeonly self, and quite right. And I loved it, every bit of it, because we should have this type of visceral reaction with regard to war in the first place. The type of demeanor that Joe Biden had bringing us out of war last night, which I applaud, and he should be applauded for. Let's keep that same energy when somebody else mentions the idea of us going to war. I want to play that clip again. Here's Joe Biden last night vehemently explaining why he is not going to apologize for withdrawing from Afghanistan. Let's take a look at it.
I made a commitment to the American people that I would end this war. Today, I've honored that commitment. It was time to be honest with the American people again. We no longer had a clear purpose in an open-ended mission in Afghanistan. After 20 years of war in Afghanistan, I refused to send another generation of America's sons and daughters to fight a war that should have ended long ago. After more than $2 trillion spent in Afghanistan, the cost that researchers at Brown University estimated would be over $300 million a day for 20 years in Afghanistan, for 2 decades. If you take the number of 1 trillion, as many say, that's still $150 million a day for 2 decades. What have we lost as a consequence in terms of opportunities? I refuse to continue a war that was no longer in the service of the vital national interests of our people. And most of all, after 800,000 Americans serving in Afghanistan, I've traveled that whole country, brave and honorable service. After 20,744 American servicemen and women injured, and the loss of 2,461 American personnel, including 13 lives, lost just this week, I refuse to open another decade of warfare in Afghanistan. I was not going to extend this forever war, and I was not extending a forever exit. The decision to end the military airlift operations at Kabul airport was based on the unanimous recommendation of my civilian and military advisors, the Secretary of State, the Secretary of Defense, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and all the service chiefs, and the commanders in the field.
Again, this is the time that we should applaud Joe Biden because he got this right. Because there is no way, there's no pleasant way to wage a war, let alone end a war that lasted 2 decades to the tune of $2 trillion that went to about 5 companies. I want to make sure that everyone understands that it's not the government of the United States, it's not the tax coffers that receives the profits of war. They're billionaires in their industries, in the military industrial complex, and they're mad. You better believe their money has been cut off. Well, not all of it, but a portion of it has been cut off. And now people are asking, well, why is Joe Biden mad? Why is Joe Biden mad? Why are you not mad? Well, this is a clip from CBS News senior White House correspondent Ed O'Keefe asking White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki about Biden's mood during the Afghanistan speech today. Who is he mad at? I would posit that he's mad at warmongers, but I digress. Let's run the clip.
He seemed angry at the beginning of the speech today. Who's he mad at?
I would say I'll give you a different assessment of what I saw, which is that he gave a forceful assessment, laid out a forceful case to the American people as to why it was time to wind down a 20-year war that has led to the loss of thousands of lives. And in his view, and I think he made a firm case of this, it's not in our national security interest to be on the ground anymore.
It is not in our interest to be on the ground anymore. I would suggest that it's not in our interest to go back to any war, period. I'm sorry, I'm not concerned about the demeanor of the president of the United States as it pertains to how we get out of war. He could have yelled. He could have thrown a shoe. I really don't care what he did in that moment in terms of his demeanor, because the thing that we should be angry at is war. Maybe let me draw one connection before I move on. And I have a clip from Tucker Carlson as it pertains to this. We'll listen to it and obviously unpack his lies and propaganda. But seriously, think about this from the perspective of the Black community. You want to know why there are tanks rolling down the street of Ferguson? Like tanks, Humvees. They get all the toys that are built for the imperialism arm of the United States of America donated to the police state. I forgot the name of the program. I'm thinking the program, the Pentagon program that literally takes all of the excess military weapons and machines that they have no more use for on the fields of Afghanistan, Iraq, and whatever war we happen to be in, or whatever military occupation the United States is engaged in. We take the excesses from it and we ship it to Black communities and poor communities. Why do you think your police officer doesn't look like officer friendly? They look more like a stormtrooper from Star Wars. That's because they have toys to play with now. And you, the Black community, well, we're the experimentation ground for all of the toys that were no longer in use in the Middle East. Tucker Carlson is mad about it. And, well, like to hear it. Here it goes.
The Sacramento Bee has just reported that at least 24 students enrolled in the San Juan Unified School District in the state of California are stranded somewhere in Afghanistan tonight. No one's certain where they are or how they're going to get home. The White House hasn't bothered to comment despite being asked. What's so interesting, the contrast that informs us really, is that over the past week, this same administration has overseen the evacuation of tens of thousands of unvetted Afghan nationals, many of whom will now be moved into neighborhoods around the United States and stay permanently. They didn't seem to encounter any problems in doing this. Thanks to meticulous and thoughtful planning, Operation Change America Forever came off precisely according to plan. It worked flawlessly. But a couple of dozen American school kids trapped in Afghanistan, the White House isn't really interested in what happens to them.
The White House is not really interested in what happens to them because the White House didn't even know they existed last week. Let's be sure. When Jen Psaki was asked about it, the White House was like, what? That's because chances are I'm going to venture to say, and if I'm wrong, I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong and I'll eat my words. These are not students. Because why in the entire green earth would you take students into a war zone? See, they require for this system to be maintained, it requires a level of stupidity and ignorance and intentional obtuseness to ignore the obvious in front of you. What parents are going to sign a permission slip to send their children to Afghanistan? Again. And even the families that went, even the what decent. Now, there is one possibility. Because we are living in the age of irrationality, we are dealing with parents who would rather put their children at risk of catching COVID-19 than to get the vaccine. So it is very possible that there are some parents who, for whatever reason, would, but absolutely, the questions that have to be asked and whether or not the White House knew about it and how they got there. Those are all things that have to be discussed and found out. But hey, Tucker, guess what? The situation at hand is that the president of the United States has made the call to get us out of war. And whereas you have pretended for many months, for many years, Tucker, you have pretended to be against war. And now you're finding every possible excuse that you can to undermine the winding down of this war. If those families were foolish enough, and I'm going to say it, if those families were foolish enough to get over there with their children, then let's get them home and make sure that those children never have to deal with parents who are foolish enough to send them into a war zone. I just have a hard time believing that any parent would be that reckless with their children. But then again, look at what's happening in this country as it pertains to COVID-19. I want to skip a little bit and go down to a couple of stories, a couple of videos from these right-wing pastors that we have to keep an eye on. I want to expose. See, there's something that happens when you expose something that's hidden in the dark. And to be quite honest with you, these pastors want to be famous. The reason that these pastors are all over the internet saying these things that are so ridiculous is because they have discovered that this is their pathway to prosperity, right? This is their pathway to getting an appointment at a booking, a preaching booking at a big evangelical church, right? Let's be sure they know what they are doing. And since they want to be famous, well, let's put them up on the screen and let's discuss the illogical fallacies of the intentional obtuseness of these right-wing pastors, starting with Jack Hibbs, who used his Sunday morning sermon to claim that the U.S. has suffered its worst military defeat in history when it withdrew from Afghanistan and demanded that Biden be court-martialed and removed from office. Let's take a look at that clip.
God's wrath is upon America. It took us 20 years of blood, trillions of dollars in treasure. It took us 20 years to lose the war on terror. This week, the United States suffered its worst military defeat in its history. Do not call for the recall and do not call for the impeachment of Joe Biden. That's not appropriate. It's inappropriate. The number one military officer in the United States of America is the commander-in-chief. Did you know that? Yes. The number one soldier, the number one airman, the number one presider over the U.S. military, the number one government-issued leader of the U.S. military is the President of the United States. When a commander conducts orders that are irresponsible and leads to death or jeopardizes national security, that military person faces court-martial. Joe Biden needs to be facing court-martial. He needs to be tried for his actions. Joe Biden has committed a crime. And in military law, he's to be removed from office.
It's fascinating to me what passes for intelligence on that side of the equation first. Secondly, COVID-19 would like to have a word with you, Pastor, and your audience. The Delta variant has entered the chat. Last but not least, do you notice who they consider to be actual sentient beings alive? He has no regard for the decisions that were made by George W. Bush and all of the subsequent presidents that extended and persisted this and made this war persist. Nor does he have any regard for the lives of all of the Afghans who died. He's just really concerned about the lives that he could use as a cudgel against Joe Biden. That's it. Did he mention any life? Did he mention any troop? Did he mention any, except the troops that died in the last, but he didn't mention any of the troops that died during the watch of George W. Bush, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, all the troops. And then not only does he not mention those troops, because those troops' lives are inconvenient for the narrative that he needs to push right now that would get him an applause in his pulpit right now because he didn't prepare any other sermon. So he needs something that's going to give him an applause line, and that's Donald Trump. I'm sorry, that's Joe Biden. That's Joe Biden, because church in America is no longer about faith. It's about the politics of the Republican Party. I don't even know what this next clip is, David. Drop the next clip, and I'm sure it's a right. We're pulling this from all these right-wing pastors. Because this is what's being taught in their services every Sunday morning, while they will convince black preachers that the only thing you can preach about is prosperity. Let's take a look at the next clip.
Genocide, Mark.
There have been vaccines that have been taken off the market with just 50 deaths. How many thousands have we had die from this vaccine already?
A ton. A ton.
We're not going to really even know.
And they're hiding that number. They're hiding that number. The CDC's hiding that number.
Yeah.
And they can't even get their narrative right, Mark. One day the vaccine saves you. The other day they're saying even with the vaccine you're not safe. Then they're saying a booster shot in September. Then they told us for a year that the mask helped us, and now that don't even matter. And now they're even coming out and saying you still got to wear a mask to have a vaccine. They can't even get their own lie straight. I told my middle son this because he was debating about the vaccine, and I was saying, don't get it. I said, anytime the government is telling you to get something, that's when you need to stop and run and go the other way about 100,000 miles an hour. Right. And I said, when they're trying to censor people from telling you not to get it, I said, that should tell you all you need to know about what they're trying to give you, son.
Now, that voice that you just heard on the, if you're watching, it was the voice on the right of the screen. If you're listening, this is a clip from anti-vax conspiracy theorist Chris McDonald. And I believe, I want to make sure I get this one right, because he was asking David for prayers for his father, because after this clip came out, his father got infected with COVID-19. And then 2 weeks later, he announced that his father had died of COVID-19. I'm sorry, folks. I'm sorry. Help me, David, because I don't really feel like I have a sense of empathy for people who are advocating against vaccines, and then when their families, don't get me wrong, I'm still a human and I want to show compassion, but it's a little hard for me. David, break this one down for me.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, no, his father passed away before this. This was just, I believe,
this is
yesterday.
After his father passed away.
Yes. So he had a whole clip just I think it was like 2 weeks to a month ago, where he asked for prayers because his father had COVID and he was having trouble breathing. He was in the hospital, etc. Obviously an older man, because you can see how old this guy is, but he had COVID. He posted to social media that his father passed like a week or two later, and now this.
His father is barely in the ground. I think we really honestly, and not to sound dramatic, folks, but we really have to take in consideration that we are not dealing with rational actors. There's a fundamental principle across all of our social sciences that says that we can make predictions about what will happen if we take in consideration that the people involved are rational actors. At what point will we accept that we're not dealing with rational actors? These are people who are arguing for the opportunity to infect their children with COVID-19. And they expect us to recognize their liberty to do so, because it is more important for them to have the most perverted expression of liberty, which is the liberty to harm other people. And there was this libertarian-esque idea of, your right stopping at your nose and you don't have a right to harm anyone else. But now we're literally in a phase of human devolution where we have on the national stage a political apparatus that is advocating for the opportunity to not only kill themselves, but kill their children through the Delta variant. I think it's reasonable for us to assume that we're no longer dealing with rational actors. All right, another clip. Prophet Jeff Jansen said that the military would reinstall Trump by the end of April. When that didn't happen, he moved that date to June. That also, of course, didn't happen. But Jansen continues to insist that Trump is still president and he's going to step back in. You just watch what happens. The big lie is now being sustained by thousands and thousands of pastors and right-wing conspiracy theorists and QAnonists who are all perpetuating their small portion of the big lie. Let's take a look at this clip.
Prophets are being tested. Is what's going on, because everybody stood with their word with President Trump, but how many are actually standing right now with President Trump? I am. I'm not backing up. Things have shifted and things have changed, but look, he's still president and he's going to step back in. You watch what happens. Very few are standing there right now. And I get ridiculed. I'm sure I'll get all kinds of emails about this. You probably will too, Dan. Sorry about that. Yeah. And I'll continue to stand. It's not my word. It's the word of the Lord. It's not Jeff Jansen's
thing.
Word.
You put the word out there. Can I ask you, when you get a word and you got a word about Donald Trump, how did that word come?
I saw it more than I heard it.
How did you see it?
I saw it in the spirit. I had dreams about President Trump. He's God's man, flat out. It lined up with Kim Clement's prophecy, A Tale of Two Presidents. I got a download from the Holy Spirit.
I got a download from the Holy Spirit. I see so many different power dynamics on this clip. If you're not watching and you're listening, it is a power dynamic of wealth versus not as wealthy. And the man who's talking about he got a vision from God is the one whose background looks far more lavish. There's a power dynamic there because there is that undue influence of all of these conservative radio hosts and wannabe hosts and YouTubers who need access to power and economics. Really being led to their own slaughter on behalf of the people who have money enough to fund their operations. Simply put, if you take this relationship that you see on your screen to the logical conclusion, you will see wealthy donors and conservative hosts like Phil Valentine, who believed what their wealthy donor said and believed it even unto death. Phil Valentine is dead now of COVID-19, but this one is overlapping with the big lie. Why is the Venn diagram between those who believe the big lie and those who oppose mask mandates and oppose the vaccine? Why is it that Venn diagram is perfectly overlapped with conservative evangelicals, particularly white conservative evangelicals? That's because they have cultivated their own trifecta, their own unholy trinity: bigotry, the rejection of knowledge, greed. That's where they are. Bigotry, the rejection of knowledge, and greed. That is the unholy trinity of the conservative movement. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, our sister from another mister, Rebecca Azor, is going to join us. We'll be speaking with Chuck Modiano about all of the protests that he's been covering. We have clips, we have videos, we have Black Joy. We have it all here at the Benjamin Dixon Show. Like it or not, it's coming up next. We'll be right back.
I stay and just repeat it now. Yeah, oh, we dream about all things being alright, but we freeze when it's all up to us. So let's fight it, make a stand and try it. Everything will matter from now on. And I know that it's alarming, yeah. 'Cause time is running out, and we can't just stay and watch it, no. Oh, we dream about all things being alright, but we freeze when it's all up to us. So let's fight it, make a stand and try it. Everything will matter from now on. Matter from now on. Let's fight
Could really use a change of scenery. Yeah. Everybody smoking all the greenery. Yeah. Close the match 'cause they were handed down to me. But I'm still fly, I know. I'm still fly, let's go. It could all be worse, I could be a hater like you. It could all be worse. Pills to make the man, but that poison's gonna kill you. From the inside out. So right now, say it with your chest now, say it with your chest now. I'm young, I'm free, can't nobody take me here and now. It's my time to run it out. It's my time to ride it. I'm young, I'm free, can't nobody take me here and now. It's my time to run it out. It's my time to ride it out. It's your time. Oh, cheers to all the haters, 'cause you proved to me that rising to the top was my destiny. And you can see whatever from behind me, but I'm still fly, I know. I'm still fly, let's go. It could all be worse, I could be a hater like you. It could all be worse. Clothes to make the man, but that poison's gonna kill you. From the inside out, it's time to say it with your chest now, say it with your chest now. I'm young, I'm free, can't nobody take me here and now. It's my time to run it out. It's my time to ride it. I'm young, I'm free, can't nobody take me here and now. It's my time to run it out. It's my time to ride it out. It's your time. Oh, if you're on the bus, say yeah. Yeah. If you're on the train, say yeah. Yeah. If you gotta walk, say yeah. Yeah. Everybody's going somewhere. Yeah. Young or old, I really don't care. Yeah. Life has never really been fair. Yeah. So put your fist up in the air. Yeah. Say yeah. I'm young, I'm free, can't nobody take me here and now. It's my time to run it out. It's my time to ride it. I'm young, I'm free, can't nobody take me here and now. It's my time to run it out. It's my time to ride it out. It's your time. Oh.
Like It or Not with Benjamin Dixon starts now.
One of us got to do it. It's just not right without good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good. Yeah, it needs to be a little bit more.
Well, do it for me, Bishop Sarita.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. That's you gotta have to have that, that morning.
Good morning, good morning. Well, either way we do it. Welcome to Like It or Not, where we're free to tell the truth. Where we're free to tell the truth.
And not care who doesn't like it. I had to adjust my camera because my head was small, right? And yours was in the frame like that. I had to fix it.
Rebecca, how you doing, sis? We missed you yesterday.
Yeah, I'm doing good, actually. I'm doing better than I'm doing very well.
Good,
I'm grateful that God has really blessed me. And he literally, because I told you guys about how a while back, I told you guys how I was set to go to the doctors and get my checkup to see if I still have any cancerous cells. So the cancerous cells are almost undetectable, and that to me is a great start. And I'm
Hey.
very happy for just that testimony, because the nights I cried, the days I cried, the weeks I cried, the pain I went through from the multiple surgeries. God has been really good to me thus far. And I thank you guys for just assistance and your prayers and everything. You know, and a lot of you guys that have been rolling with me since the beginning of Like It or Not back in 2017. You guys know the story. You guys have been rocking with me since then. You guys have been asking me how I've been doing, you know, medical leave wise or whatever they call it. But God has been good. And I am great because I, you know, eventually I want kids and stuff. So to know that
You want
I'm
some
well on
big,
my
well,
way.
long haired, big head babies
Long
around there
hair,
speaking Creole.
speaking Creole, big cheeks, you know, almond eyes. You know, I don't know what the teeth is gonna look like. God, let it be the father's teeth. It's just, it's just. God bless my kids, man. I don't know, but when I do, I can't wait to start to meet someone and start a family. I'm looking forward to that
And you
eventually
can't
in
say
my
that
life.
kind of stuff on the internet because your DMs are about to be full.
That's okay. My DMs are open. Feel free. Jump. Jump in. Get
Slide
on
it.
in.
Slide in there. Well, it's
Slide.
good to see you. And then also just an update on the work that you're doing with your brother and all the different organizations that are connected to Haiti in the aftermath of the earthquake, which is in the aftermath of the assassination of President Jovenel Moise. There's just so much going on. Just update us on everything as briefly or as long as you need to.
Yeah, I definitely forgot yesterday to drop you some new footage my brother sent me, that I wanted to show you guys the tents along Jérémie, which is in the southern part of Haiti, which was affected. But my brother, who is an activist in Haiti, he's a popular activist, and my oldest brother, and he's also a popular rapper in Haiti, and his name is Pasito, and he goes back all the time, even though he just moved here about, I think like 8 years ago. He never really stayed here. He keeps going back. He has a home there. He takes care of his kids there, just a lot, you know, and he goes back all the time to give no matter what. He was in the last earthquake, and he was one of the people that was walking around helping people, even though his stuff was messed up. And this time around, he was able to gather with us, our family members, and partner with another organization called Bompas in Haiti. So got some stuff here, flew it out to Haiti, has been there weekly. The man I'm telling you, he moved here, but he hates America. He's in Haiti weekly. He does not like it here. He doesn't believe in the work ethic. He just does not like America. But he goes back often, and he went to Jérémie, and was
Jérémie?
giving. Yeah, Jérémie is where my father is from. And he's giving back. And unfortunately, there wasn't a lot for him to be able, like, even though there was so much that he gave. If you see the communities of people
There's
that
a lot
came
of
out,
people in need.
there was so many people, and that to me spoke a lot. He sent me the videos, and I'll send you, this is not the videos but I'll send you guys again the videos, the updated videos that he just sent me yesterday night, because you guys will be shocked to see the tents along the road. They're not even tents, y'all. It's like two sticks put together and a sheet of cloth or some newspaper covering it
And
all
that's where
along
people
the
are
road.
living.
That's how people are living currently. Before that, they didn't even have great housing. So now, whatever they had, whatever structure they had, that was not up to code, because governments weren't giving a damn. The government there wasn't giving a damn. It is ridiculous. And the weather, I'm like, this ain't stopping no rain. This ain't stopping the sun that may be beating down. This ain't stopping nothing. Imagine the babies. Imagine
Yeah.
the elderly. Imagine the people who are sick. Imagine, people who can't walk. Some of them had to be left behind for people to move forward out of those areas that just are not livable right now. So, but shout out to my brother. Shout out to you guys
Yeah.
for assisting and helping. Because of you, that was that was something that I was able to contribute to for my brother, and because of you, right here in Atlanta, at the Legacy Center, at ATL for Haiti, I was able to give as well. And my plans this week is to go out, if my job permits, to go out and work with them for either the Friday or the weekend to help them out and volunteer to put stuff into the bins. They have so many bins, barrels, as you guys say in English, to fill. I mean, huge barrels to fill. And I feel like because Haiti may not be in the news cycle anymore, it's something that's
That's right.
forgettable. And I don't want it to be that way. And maybe I'm biased because I'm Haitian and I'm going to rock with mine and I'm going to stick right beside them. And you're going to hear about it any chance you get right here on the show. But there are barrels that need to be filled. And if you can't give, and if you're not okay with giving monetarily to my Cash App, that's okay. I'm okay with that. They have Amazon links that you can click on that will send directly over to Haiti on behalf of ATL for Haiti. There's so much that you can do to give back. And whatever, if you have questions, by the end of the show, we'll put back up the link with the information that you can actually send yourself, like make a package yourself, send it to the Legacy Center, and it'll get to Haiti. I promise you that. So
yeah. And yeah, you show we have the pictures. It's difficult to do this kind of work when so many people have burned the roads and the bridges before us that make people really hesitant to donate money to individuals or to organizations. But I know you and I know your work, and I've seen the pictures. We've seen the pictures. We got video, and there's just so much more that we could do. And I am grateful that we have somebody, we say Pasito, who is so rooted in the community that we know it's getting to the people versus going to some organization like the Red Cross. So thank you all. Thank you. I know you're thanking us, but thank you and your brother for what y'all are doing there.
Yeah.
Let's jump here, Rebecca, and you're gonna go get them headphones that we sent you and bring in Chuck Modiano, who has been covering the protests that have occurred nonstop. Brother Chuck, welcome back to the show first and foremost, but secondly, tell us about the continued protests that are happening out in DC.
Well, it's been going on nonstop. First of all, sending love, not just to everyone in Louisiana, but love in Haiti. And I caught the end. I want to make sure, Rebecca, are you all any friends, family, everybody okay?
Thank you so much. They're displaced. I mean, but they're living. And my brother, like I said, my oldest brother is able to go out there and check on our people, and we're able to at least get a phone call, every now and then. And so that, to me, because some people's families didn't make it. So I'm grateful to say that mine did, so yeah.
That is definitely good to hear.
Thank you, Chuck.
Shifting gears. Yeah, there's been all types of protests. So, I mean, I'll go back to last Thursday night. Antoine Gilmore in D.C. was the latest individual in D.C. to get murdered by police. So there were protests here in D.C. on his murder. That was Thursday. On Friday was the 11th straight week of Boycott Nelly's protest, a racist bar in D.C. That protesters are trying to close down. Then we moved to Saturday. Saturday was a march in Washington. So there were a whole bunch of different types of marches on Saturday. The one I chose to attend, where there were over 200 families, really close to 300 families in Washington, D.C., who had their loved ones murdered by police. And for hours, each one of them told their story. And it was heart-wrenching. It was very tough to be at, tough to listen to. And that went on for hours, and that was hidden. There wasn't a lot of media there. So that was an issue. And then we come to Saturday night, on the second Antoine Gilmore protest, which people are looking at right now, where people came back out on the streets, and there are going to be continued protests for Antoine Gilmore so that there can be accountability for the police officer, something that never happens in D.C. And then we moved to Sunday. There was a big HBCU march calling on the cancellation of student debt, calling on the transformation of curricula in high schools that are whitewashing history. So there's a lot going on all in consecutive days.
And you got so we're looking at the clip now of the marching ensemble. So I know we call it marching band, but but let's take a listen. What are they playing? Let's work our way backwards because you brought footage from everything. David, let's take a listen into what they're playing, and then Chuck, when they're done, describe again what this event was. All right.
HBCUs matter, baby, okay? We are celebrating the second annual HBCU Marching Generation, trying to amplify the voices of HBCUs. We are in need of our student loan debt being canceled, y'all. We are in need of an African Diaspora Studies course to be taught in high schools as a requirement to graduate. Black education matters, and America has been trying to tell people and show it through their whitewash history that our history doesn't matter, that our education doesn't matter, that our student voice doesn't matter, but we're here to tell them that they are wrong. We're here to tell them that we are demanding not only respect, but change for our schools. So HBCUs are not letting up, baby. We only get bigger, we only get better, and we only get stronger. So when unity comes change, when change comes power, and we ready to change it up, okay?
Ain't go to homecoming.
Okay, wow. Yeah, no, they killing it. That New Orleans style.
Yes, but it's giving pure HBCU vibes.
Oh
It's
yeah,
New
no, for
Orleans
sure.
style, clean, nice. But when you go to your HBCU, because I'm a graduate of an HBCU as well, not Ben's HBCU, but the HBCU, Florida A&M University. And when you go to an HBCU like that,
Help us, God.
you get to represent, and you get to what she was saying in the beginning, the young lady.
Oh yeah,
You know. I felt that. And I did not learn, as Black as I am, I didn't learn a lot of my Black history, my Black teachings that contributed to America, a lot of historical events happening in America, positive ones that happened at the hands of Black people, and the negative ones that they made me believe that were positive happened at the hands of white folks. And, I didn't learn that even about my own nationality, me being Haitian, and I learned things at my HBCU about me as a Haitian that I did not learn at all in my school or even through my parents. So shouts out to the historical university, Florida A&M University.
Not that.
And all the other ones. And all the
She
other
probably
ones.
what school does this sis go to, Mommy? This is DC. Is she from Howard?
Howard University.
Yeah.
That's the Anaya Vines, and she's incredible with the Live movement. Has done a lot of work in education the last year. Been one of the also protesters out here post George Floyd.
Yeah.
So education is her key. Had a chance to meet her mother and realize that the fruit does not fall too far from the tree as well.
That's what I'm talking about.
That.
Shout out to the HBCU protest there, and that just so that Rebecca knows, that rendition of Talking Out the Side of Your Neck that the band was playing sounded like the arrangement from Bethune-Cookman University marching Wildcats. But I digress. Chuck, what's in this next clip? Because you brought a couple of clips. David, actually, why don't you run the next clip, or Chuck, if you want to introduce it, whichever way you want to go.
I don't know what the next. Oh, there we go.
Run it, David.
I'll wait for the clip.
I'm gonna roll him. I just grabbed a couple from his timeline, so here we go.
Not say lost for words. We're lost for words. We're gonna keep his memory alive, his name alive. We want accountability. We want them to be held accountable. We're gonna keep our foot on their neck. We're not letting up. My cousin life meant something. He meant something. They didn't even know if he had any medical distress or any medical history. The only ambulance you seen was in the camera back there. When the young lady was recording, when she actually said, let me go back around. She had a gut feeling. Let me go back around because she felt something. And just from her response, my cousin was asleep in the car. They were playing chicken hide and go seek. They were trying to figure out what they wanted to do. They had their eyes on my cousin. They wanted my cousin for what? I don't know. He was a good man. But at the end of the day, you're going to be held accountable. His life meant something, and 10 shots was not right. 10 shots with a man who didn't threaten you at all. And if body cam, the officer didn't say not one time his hands was on the gun. The officer said, let me get more light so I can see his hands. Oh, he's waking up, he's waking up. Not one time did he say he pointed the gun or his hands was on the gun. So no, our feet are on your neck and we not letting up, and justice will be served for Antoine Gilmore, AKA Model Baby, AKA Juvie.
You know what, Chuck? I want you to unpack this one. We talked about it a little bit with Georgia Ford on the clock. But as she was describing the scenario leading up to the police murder, it sounded like so many other scenarios. And I was trying to wait until I figured out exactly who she was talking about, because we see this played out over and over in this exact. Chuck, break this down for us.
Well, we in DC, we have a number of people who get murdered because they're shot into vehicles or shot at vehicles, and they woke up Antoine Gilmore. Antoine Gilmore was sleeping in his car. He might do a Rayshard Brooks. Others come to mind.
Yeah.
And as his car is moving away, one officer, I think there were 9 officers who surrounded, shot into the car, aggressively shot into the car. And you'd have to ask, why would you need to shoot into a car? And there are 10 shots in the car, and then he's dead. And this happens a lot in DC. We in DC, not only are victims not only are police officers not convicted, they're never even arrested. And we have a third problem. If you need an arrest to get a conviction, in DC, you don't even get awareness, which is why I appreciate you covering Antoine Gilmore. We don't get awareness in DC. Like, nobody knows people killed in the nation's capital. They come to the nation's capital from all over the country, but nobody can name 3 names from DC who were murdered. So Antoine Gilmore is part of a list. We had Karan Hilton last year, Deon Kay last year. And so at this point, where you see everyone in the street, they want transparency, they want accountability, and it's just a common story.
This is I've been seeing this all over my timeline, and I'm grateful for you, Chuck, and a few other people who shared this when it wasn't getting a lot of light in the beginning. And I understand that it's now happened so often, but just to hear that this man was sleeping in his car.
Yeah.
And what came to mind was Rayshard Brooks here, and just the other amount of people who are doing nothing but sitting in their car, sleeping in their car, for whatever reason, and cops come and will kill you for sleeping in your car. And I think about even the untold story of the Zadok Williams, who's also now in the news cycle, we've covered when it first happened, I think sometime earlier this year, with Representative Renita Shannon here, who has been trying to get it out there nationally. But sometimes it's hard to get the story into a news cycle, and it'll just fall under the wraps, if people aren't protesting or talking about it or whatever. So, for this to happen, but I don't think we should stop hitting the streets. And I think that's what the police officers want. For this particular instance, it's sad that somebody lost their lives in this manner, period. It's sad that Black people can't do nothing. They just can't do nothing. I would say but live, but we can't even do that. So, to hear that this man lost his life this way, I'm happy to see the people out there protesting. I'm happy to see that it's gaining attention and to be in the news cycle. But it sucks because at times we get the somewhats, and like we had the George Floyd, that was something real big, but we have the Breonna Taylors, who's no longer in the news cycle, and people don't even know that they forgot about fighting for justice for this person. So hopefully this gets to where it needs to be, and we get something like something bigger than what happened with George Floyd with this, and the next person that happens to, and the next person that happens to. We got to keep applying pressure, even though some people may not get the justice. We got to keep applying pressure.
And I want to unpack some of this video that you're watching right now, because it came at night on Saturday when you had couple hundred families who had loved ones murdered. You see a lot of people. In fact, the woman with the white shirt is the mother of Marquise Martin, she came all the way from Arkansas. We had different people come from Arkansas who were there at that protest in solidarity with Antoine Gilmore. We had the brother of Winston Smith from Minneapolis who was there in solidarity. So we had about 6 or 7 families. They heard that this was going on, and then they came into the street that night after the planned event. So there was cross-country solidarity. That's the brother of Winston Smith right now speaking about Winston. So I think it was a big event. And as I always say, no, you're not going to see a Washington Post reporter there at either Antoine Rose's protest that night or even earlier in the day when the families of loved ones were murdered. And that's a shame.
I want to take a look at this next clip. It's one of the gentlemen at the protest talking about Brother Gilmore. But more specifically, how taxpayers, and this is the thing that gets me, Chuck.
Yeah,
we are funding our own assassination by police officers. Let's take a listen to this clip.
Day for the unjust murder of Antoine Gilmore. MPD again, for no reason, murdered another innocent man. That man was in his car sleeping, wasn't bothering nobody. Y'all blissed that man with riot shields and guns and violence for no reason at all. And y'all felt like because he was a black man in the car, y'all felt threatened by him. Y'all felt inherently threatened by that man. So we out here. I'm out here. I'm ready to tee up for that shit. I'm tired of that shit. Like, that could have been me. That could have been any black man out here. So we out here. We getting justice for Antoine Gilmore. You hear me?
I do. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Man, we need to abolish the police for real. We keep funding these for no reason. We giving these extra money for extra ammunition, for extra mace, for extra paintballs so they can terrorize us. This coming out of our bills, this coming out of our taxes. We the people are paying to be murdered by the police. Now let that sink in. How the that sound? How the we paying to get murdered?
We paying to get murdered by the police.
We're paying to get murdered by the police.
I mean, that's exactly right. I mean, it's exactly right. And it has to be framed that way.
Yeah.
It really has to be framed that way. Taxpayers' dollars are going to murder. You know, we hear that in every other case. Why is my taxpayer dollar going to this? Why is your taxpayer dollar going to murdering black people in the street? So that's Amar X. And Amar X is, again, he's been protesting police violence since George Floyd, also an incredible rapper, I might add. And so I was very happy that he was able to share his thoughts.
That intersection between independent media, independent music, and activism is one that will be we're going to interrogate that intersection because they're out there in the streets. I am so impressed with the number of protesters who have not let up not a single night since they started protesting on behalf of George Floyd. Could you just in general speak about the evolution of this over a year? What a year? How long has this been a sustained protest?
Since the end of May, a whole new generation of people in DC came out, and there's no left. No, we don't have the thousands that we had last year in June, but at any given time, 100 could come out for a protest. And so what happened is George Floyd radicalized a new generation in DC because there was a lull after Mike Brown as far as protest is concerned. There was a vibrant solidarity in DC during Mike Brown. But then there would always be the same 30 people at a protest anytime someone was murdered. And George Floyd murder changed that. And I have to add, not only did the George Floyd murder change that, but the behavior of the local DC MPD changed that with their brutality, with their rubber bullets, with their tear gas, with their looting of food supporters and looting of people's phones. So a lot of protesters might have come out for the first time and then saw how they were treated and said, if I was treated like this, trying to exercise my First Amendment right, I can't imagine how everybody else is treated away from the cameras. So we have to talk about that. And that has left an impact on the protesters. So a lot of protesters in DC, they're not going home. They're committed for life.
Ooh, Chuck Modiano, how can the people support your work, brother?
I'm at Chuck Mo D1. Listen, just keep tuning in. I'm pretty much self-funded, and do the best I can. I appreciate the question, and I did want to just add one more thing about the HBCU piece that we were talking about earlier that was mentioned over and over, and that was that the one of the first demands was the cancellation of student debt.
That's right.
And the cancellation of student debt is not always framed as a racial justice issue. But at that march, they were framing it as a racial justice issue because Black students have such disproportionate debt and loans. So they were very clear about that. So I wanted to be clear to.
Can we get some witnesses in the chat room across Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter? Somebody tune up the Hammond organ. If you could testify that you are a Black person who needs some liberation and reparations in the form of student debt cancellation,
because
can I get
I'm
an
over here still to this day.
To this
still,
day.
you know, I love my HBCU.
Hell, Wildcats,
but my God, go Rattlers! But my God. For me,
Howard is
Meridian
expensive.
paying that money.
How it is expensive. Chuck Modiano, thanks so much, brother. Continue doing what you're doing out there. Anything we could do to help you, please don't hesitate to ask.
Thank you. Appreciate it as always.
Love you,
Absolutely.
Chuck. See ya.
Rebecca Azor, shout out to DJ Exclusive, who is not in today, but that is okay because we all have to reset and rest and get prepared for the next season. Season 2 is getting ready to come up.
Season 2 is getting ready to come out. So I gotta just let y'all know right now. See, since season 2 is ready to come out, since I know you guys love me being on here every day, but one day a week, because I work 6 jobs, one day a week, I need the morning off. I won't be able, I don't have that luxury to do at my corporate job. But one day a week, I will be taking the day off. And I chose Wednesday as a balanced day. And for me, I don't know if I can really do Wednesday. I'm gonna see how that's gonna go because I kind of like the way Wednesday vibes on the show.
Yeah,
I really
Wednesday's
do.
a vibe.
But we'll see. But I think all of us each host deserves a day off. Because I think that'll keep us just aligned a little better to get this to get what we need.
Align
to
with the stars and sync with the earth.
Align with the stars and sync with the earth, or
10 toes deep.
whatever you need to do. It'll allow you to hit the blunt in the morning or not. It'll allow you to go on a run in the morning or not. It'll allow you to pray and manifest
or
and
not
meditate in the morning or not.
But why would you not do all the above? All right. What kind of clip we got? And actually, I feel like we might have a somebody slide in the room. I want to play the One Black Joy clip. Let's do that because I want to do a palate cleanse because it is a difficult time. It has been. I mean, I ain't got to tell you, Rebecca, and I certainly got to tell the audience. I mean, the audience, they're going through it. So bring us some joy, David. I don't even know what this first one is. Oh, now I do because I see Nana pop up on the screen. Listen, you got to be kind of corny. You got to be kind of a cornball.
Oh yeah. Okay.
For you to jump on on Beyonce's internet in the year of our Lord 2021 and try to clown Black women, and Nana get on TikTok and roast your ass. Let's play it.
No, you ain't. You ain't a queen. You ain't never gonna be my queen because you ain't my mother.
Boy, you down here in the basement making more TikToks. What is wrong with you? Denisha done gone on with her life and you down here mad. I know this. I know you better go ahead and put your uniform on so I can take you up here and drop you off at Taco Bell for your shift. Now do that. And hey, don't forget your hat this time. Wait a minute. I know that's not my shower curtain you got up there at that window. Boy, when you come back from work, you put my shower curtain where it needs to be. What's wrong with you?
Who showed that? How to use TikTok?
I need you to go back and pause on him so that you can see the drapes she was talking about. Look in the back. Those are the drapes, y'all. Now, I need you to understand, it's so sad how you can have your be viral for this on your TikToks. Okay. It's so sad that everybody had to learn how to utilize TikTok to come and roast you. Every generation came out and roasted you. Though these type of men are literally out in the world. Everything that he says, it might sound corny online, but there are men who really think in this manner. And that's why that's why each woman every woman or man who's dating, whatever, who non-conforming individuals, whatever, never go somewhere where you are not wanted. Pick it up and move on somewhere where you are wanted, because this or where, you know, where you're getting the attention or the love that you need, because being with somebody like this, a psychopath who's giving low-key abusive vibes, domestic
Oh, he's too
violence.
little to be abusive. He probably get beat up real
No,
good
little
by
men
some.
have the
Yeah.
little men, trust me.
No, there's
Little
a
men
series
be
of
putting them
videos
balls,
that
they be hopping up and putting balls right to you. Okay.
no, there's
But
better use of our.
he literally is giving those vibes. He's giving you know, what do they call that? Small penis syndrome vibes. He's giving like, I hate my
Napoleon
life vibes.
complex.
And yes,
Napoleon
and
complex.
yeah, and he's giving like, you
Put
know,
him back on the screen for me, David. Keep him on the screen.
he's literally giving me I live in the basement with my mom vibes. What woman are you bringing there in
Oh,
your
somebody pointed out that he can't even get his smoke detector
fixed
fixed because it's beeping in the background. Wait a minute.
If you hate women so much, this is what the same person that pointed that out said. If you hate women so much, please go be with the man. It's 2021. Be proud.
Oh, man, don't bring that
Go
to
and
us.
what
We
you
don't.
need to
We
do. But then I
keep
was
that
like, not
sociopathy
even
to
men need
yourself.
that toxicity.
Yes.
If you can't be good to people at all,
That's right.
at all. What they used to say back in the day, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Okay, you, sir, if you can't be good to people at all, you don't deserve anybody. You don't deserve anybody. So this is what I'm gonna start putting locks on my show. I'm gonna say, because Ben doesn't just be letting anybody in the room. Did I green like this, David? Did somebody come and talk to me about this? Not one person.
Wow.
Hey, Pascal, how you doing?
Hi. How you doing? Good morning, guys. Good
What's
morning.
going on, brother? Gotta have you
morning.
slide through.
Y'all forgot about me.
When?
Oh, you know what?
On today. I was supposed to
That's
be on
right.
today.
That's right.
And I can only be on for like 3 seconds. I just wanted to say what's up.
Oh no,
You know what I mean?
hold on. I
gotta
thought
hop off.
you were coming on Friday. Who scheduled you to come on today and then see, this is what I'm talking about right here.
Me and Benji Ben had a nice intimate conversation. And he said, hey man, hey my brother Pascal, I need you to come on Wednesdays.
Why did I say you should come on Wednesdays, Pascal?
You know, honestly, I don't know. You just said
because Rebecca's supposed to be off today.
Boom.
We gonna make sure that when Rebecca's not here, that we got some Haitian sensation extraness. Gotta stay on the screen at all times. That's what's going on. But Rebecca,
I did green light that. I didn't say it was starting this a week. I did have that conversation with Benjamin P. Dixon, and I said I would like for Pascal to be on the show because he gives me extra, and
the extra fries at the bottom of the bag.
Extra. We don't need them to miss, because you're extra. You are over the top, and I seem to be very ostentatious as well, proudly. So
it's
you know, having you on will be a balance in a male form.
Yeah, no, it's all good. It's you know, it's in the blood, right?
Yeah,
right,
it's in the Haitian blood. Yes, it is. And
what's coming up on your show? I don't know how long you have to hang with us. So what's coming up on your show?
Unfortunately, I got like 2 minutes. So here it is. We got a bunch of stuff. We're talking about the Antoine Gilmore situation that's going on in the streets right now of DC. But then we are also talking about some other lighthearted stuff, like a married couple is suing people who didn't show up to their wedding.
I saw that, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're suing them, or is it that they build them?
Oh, they're sending them the invoice. They're sending them an invoice.
Sending them the invoice. My bad.
Yes.
Correction. Sending them the invoice for
I'm here for you.
Not showing up. So and I don't blame them. And we're gonna talk about it.
Oh, you don't blame them?
I don't blame them. No, that stuff ain't cheap, my brother. That stuff ain't cheap.
Well, so if you got less than 2 minutes, listen to this one clip. No, I'm not going to. You got 30 seconds, but I want you to give commentary on Pascal. Where's everybody going to find your show at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central?
The Pascal Show, youtube.com/The Pascal Show. So
brother,
hop over there. Oh, and by the way, I didn't see the clip, but I was hearing you guys talk about it. And yeah, this toxic masculinity type thing really needs to subside. I just wanted to throw that my 2 cents in here, because I know that there's this thing called the manosphere that's out here doing their thing in this red pill, and sometimes there's some guys who are out here that say that they're red pill I feel like sometimes it gets a little too extreme to the point where what Rebecca was saying, you know, those abusive vibes kind of come out. And it's like, hey, how about you just be a human being? How about you just be a gentleman? Have some common decency and leave that a table between you guys called respect so that you guys can chill, do your thing, have conversations, and be human.
Yeah.
That's it. You know? That's what I
Find
do.
somebody who fits that type of whatever, but don't say that a woman can never be something or whatever, because that type of, and even though he said it and everybody's, you know, coming after him, there are a lot of men who still walk in that. There are a lot of women who still walk in that as well. There are people who are just act like this in relationships and thinks it's okay. So for, you know, he was set as an example. I know there's somebody in the comments saying that I am taking it personal or taking it too serious when it's an obvious joke. Yeah, I am, because I think
when the guy who's doing what he's doing is obvious.
yeah,
Nah,
it's
that's you don't joke about that. I
You
feel
don't joke
that's
about
too
that,
much
but
real energy in there.
I think relationships, especially when you're older, it's like, especially with us knowing better, if it ain't good for you, and if you see somebody that's just not a good person, go ahead and walk away, sis, brother, like whoever, whatever, like just walk away from it. If like that ain't it, or if you like that, it's okay. But you can't put that on everybody. And that man went on Beyonce's internet, okay, on Taylor Swift's TikTok, and actually put that out
Pascal,
there,
you better
and thought
run.
that, and then because I'm gonna keep talking, and then thought that he was gonna sit here and think that was okay. I mean, this is the cancel culture. Sometimes cancel culture just doesn't get it right. Sometimes they do. And in this particular moment, they done called grandma off the plastic couch to come and do the TikTok to cancel him as well. So you know when grandma steps in, it's some
It's time to retire. It's time to take it to the house. Pascal, get the last word, man, and then get out of here. Get over to your show, 10 o'clock Eastern at 9 p.m. Central, the Pascal Show on YouTube. Get the last word.
I was just going to say, just to, you know, just kind of jump off of what Rebecca said. What's crazy, though, is that even though he might be, you know, thrown into that cancel, you know, box, there is an audience for that voice.
Yes, there
People
is.
are definitely reading into that and consuming that kind of content like it's air.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me. I don't know.
I know.
Like
Look,
when it comes to the dating scope, when it comes to relationships and all that, it's kind of like, okay, when just talking as a man, it's just kind of like, why can't you just be a gentleman?
And if you don't want that person, leave that person.
Exactly.
Do not drag that person through any kind of whatever just to become the monster like that, and then assume that the person was, you know, weak and stay. Like all of that comes into play when I see that, and I see, even though it may not be physical, the emotional dangers that causes to people. Oof. Stay away from that. Stay away from it. Stay away from it.
Yeah.
Brother Pascal, we'll see you in a few minutes.
See you in a few minutes.
Y'all take care, my brother. All right. I like when people can like kind of virtually just jump in, like, hey, I'm here. I'm in the house.
Like that. Knock first.
Oh, you don't like that. I like
text.
It. Well, you should like.
Did you call her text first? That's what my format said.
Well, we had the whole conversation in the chat room. You didn't see Rebecca don't have no mercy, none whatsoever. All right, I want to play this next clip. Let's see what we have. I don't really. So there's a recall effort in California. I want to touch on it briefly because we played a clip earlier from this evangelical pastor, and David, I want you to have that clip queued up too. Because this is what they do. Rebecca, you've seen this so many times. They use their pulpit to promote their politics. In California, there's a recall effort to recall Governor Newsom. And the Republican who's running in it against him is Larry Elder, who's a black man who is a conservative, who is one of those. He's the old school Candace Owens, to be sure. I want to start with the clip from Larry Elder. And it is a clip, if I'm not mistaken, with the same pastor that we're going to play a clip of in a moment. So here is the guy that's trying to get the governor's seat in California. And if you don't think this is important, consider what Republicans and conservatives are doing all over the country. Let's take a look at this clip.
Exactly 2 weeks away from California's recall election, and all eyes are on Larry Elder, the controversial conservative radio host and Republican frontrunner who is set to replace Governor Gavin Newsom if Newsom is recalled.
My agenda is crime. My agenda is homelessness. My agenda is the way the state was shut down.
That agenda, says Elder, includes rolling back the state's COVID restrictions, vowing to repeal mask and vaccine mandates for California state workers.
Will you follow the science? I'm going to follow the science. I don't believe the science suggests that young people should be vaccinated. I don't believe the science suggests that young people should have to wear masks at school. I'm not sure the science is settled on that at all. And young people are not likely to contract the coronavirus. And when they do, their symptoms are likely to be mild, and they're not likely to be hospitalized, and they're certainly not likely to die.
The science says he's wrong on 2 counts. Millions of children have tested positive for COVID-19, and masks are proven to prevent the spread of the virus. For 27 years, he was the voice of conservative rage on the radio.
Blacks exaggerate the significance of racism. Affirmative action is wrong.
Some of his most controversial comments over the years were about things like systemic racism in policing.
The studies do not show that the police are pulling black people over just because they're black. The studies do not show the police are killing black people just because they're black. It is false. Am I opposed to the minimum wage? Yes. Am I going to do anything about it? Absolutely not. That's not even close to anything on my agenda list.
On immigration, Elder suggested in a 2010 column a constitutional amendment to deny citizenship to children of undocumented immigrants.
Are you going to do things like deny medical care and education to undocumented immigrants in the state?
Again, not even close to anything on my agenda.
They called him, they're in the comment section. I was trying not to bust out laughing. They called him Big Neck Bird.
Jesus. Big neck, big neck.
But I didn't see him yet. So I saw Big Neck Bird in the comment section, and then you guys put that up. And I was like,
yeah.
It's thick in the neck. But that's wrong, y'all. That's terrible. But everything
I thought you were laughing at his tape in that first shot. If you go back to his lineup, like he's got you're like, no, brother. Yeah. He got some Beijing in this clip, but in the very first still picture, he had like a whole chunk of hair missing.
I see it, the filling.
Right there.
Oh, no, they didn't even
look at that.
This is that he was giving OJ Simpson right here. He was giving OJ Simpson in the Bronco. That's what he was giving right here. Okay.
This man. I told you he's old school Candace Owens. I told you he was old school Candace Owens.
I think he's worse. Well, no, I don't know if he's worse because Candace just came out with some I'm unvaccinated laying next to my man. I got a baby. Things crazy in her household. I don't believe she's unvaccinated. I do believe she's vaccinated. I do believe that she's just selling this story like it's Love and Hip Hop, which on Love and Hip Hop, I'm going to say this briefly, and I'm going to interject this ridiculousness briefly so I can tell you how ridiculous people like Candace Owens plays to these fake narratives. So you got Safari, who was with his wife. She's pregnant for 6 months on this damn show. He ain't know she was pregnant for 6 months. He ain't know she was pregnant for 6 months, y'all. And they really went with this narrative on the damn show just because it was just like, okay, let's do this. It makes sense. I do not believe Candace Owens is sleeping next to her husband, unvaccinated, while he had COVID-19.
Oh, she said she's doing it while he's had COVID-19.
COVID-19, yes.
With her baby.
Yes. She says, I'm sleeping next to him every night and I didn't catch it. And I know that that's possible. But my God, today, like, sis, you're putting yourself in danger and your child in danger just for the sake that you wanted to be able to tweet that, if that's true. But I don't believe that's true, Ben. I believe that she is doing this for the Love and Hip Hop version of GOP. That's what I believe. So they're creating this narrative. Like,
okay, I got what you're saying.
Safari came out and said himself in a tweet after that whole thing came out. He's like, if y'all believe that I really didn't know my wife was pregnant for 6 months, come on now, y'all. Come on now. It was for the show. Literally. So I feel like Candace is playing towards the show too. This man, if he hasn't seen that we lost one black man who represented that right so much.
Consider the perspective of Herman Cain.
Herman Cain.
999.
Okay. And now I don't want to lose any more black men to nothing, to anything. But if you're out here and you're just pushing these narratives and these rhetorics and saying this is the truth, that younger people and don't need to be getting it. All of this, you see? Ooh, he's giving. Look at this psychopath. Was that a white hand against his face?
It was a white
I
hand that
don't like
smacked his
that too
face. To the
much.
listening audience, it's got a lot going on in this B-roll of Larry Elder. He has
Man,
been.
was that a white hand slapping him?
It seemed a little white to me, to be honest with you. It seemed a little
don't
pale.
like that.
The
I don't
melanin
like
count
that.
wasn't high enough for me.
About the quality. It was giving me VHS, which I
Le
do know
bloc,
what
bloc.
VHS is. But anyways, but he's problematic. But how many
He's in a
times are we
position to
gonna
win California, though.
that
Like, this
are
is
you
the thing.
shocked? Are you shocked?
No.
Because as much
I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger was there.
I
was
was
the
gonna
governor.
say, but and not only that, but we have Jenner, Caitlyn Jenner,
Yeah.
who's running in California for whatever.
Same seats. The recall. They're salivating at the opportunity to snatch the governor's seat.
But he literally put up he paid for. No, I don't think he paid for this because he did it with his cell phone. This man went over to the wall that they're supposed to be building. That's what half built, like literally not
Who
built.
did?
Caitlyn Jenner, and said,
She.
if you put me in the place to be your leader, this wall will be finished. We will no longer have illegal immigrants.
She thought that was going to get her some support.
I said, sis, Caitlyn, girlfriend with the little heels, stop playing with us, because we already know what that means, and that means you're racist. It means that you're not for people. It means the people that clean your house, the people that run businesses in your area, you do not respect. And because it's a large Hispanic community out there, and they're the ones that do a lot of the jobs. I'm not saying, but when I say clean their house, because they own the cleaning company that cleans your house. Okay. When I say, I'm not reducing them to just the people cleaning your toilets, they own the companies that create toilets to put into your home to fix it. The plumbing company, they own that. And here you are saying all these kind of things. He was saying this stuff about stealing jobs. He was using that message as well on.
Rebecca, Caitlyn,
Oh, sorry. Thank you for fixing it. I mean, I see y'all is getting me together. She. And that's one of the things I fight with every day. So forgive me on that. She, Caitlyn Jenner, but she was out there putting this whole message out there that they're going to be stealing jobs. They need to put the wall up. We need to protect America from illegal immigrants and all of this stuff. And I'm like, didn't we just go through that? Didn't we just like literally have that as leadership? And it would suck for California.
Well, that's why they think it's going to. That's why they think it's going to work, because it worked for Donald Trump. And the fact that it worked for Donald Trump, now you see it coming in Larry Elder, you see it coming in Marjorie Taylor Greene, you see it coming in Caitlyn Jenner, you see it coming from all these reactionary right wingers. But here's a part of this that really shows why Larry Elder has so much support and he could possibly win. It's because he is supported by the right-wing evangelical movement. He's been going to all these churches and he's been, getting the applause. But I want to play this one more clip, because this is a guy that we spoke about earlier as he's discussing President Biden. President Biden being tried because of the Afghanistan pullout. And I want you, as you listen to him, I want you to keep in mind that this pastor is in California, and he is a major supporter of Larry Elder, has a huge platform. And the reason this guy is able to, the reason so many Republicans are able to mosey their way up to power with their bigotry is through the evangelical church. Take a look at this clip.
God's wrath is upon America. It took us 20 years of blood, trillions of dollars in treasure. It took us 20 years to lose the war on terror. This week, the United States suffered its worst military defeat in its history. Do not call for the recall, and do not call for the impeachment of Joe Biden. That's not appropriate. Have
already
been found in trash cans.
Really?
Photographs have been taken of them. I've got people who have taken videos and said, look what I'm finding here. One pastor I know was driving down the street, saw some documents on the side of the highway that he thought looked somewhat important. He pulled over, he grabbed them, they were opened. He recognized them immediately. They were ballots regarding this special recall election of Gavin Newsom. Every one of those ballots said yes, Newsom should be removed. And the second question on the ballot was, who do you want to replace him with? And these were Larry Elder voters. The point is, it's already started. That's why we documented it, because, of course, when you say these things, everybody says, no, that's not true. Well, you know, you deal with it yourself. We're living it here right now.
So that's the same pastor, Jack Hibbs, using his Sunday morning sermon and to promote the overthrow of Joe Biden. And we cut it a little sooner than last time when we played it, Rebecca. But you can imagine this audience went crazy when he said we should that Joe Biden should be tried in a military court, and the audience were crazy. You would think Jesus himself came down and was like laying hands on them, and they were praying. No, they weren't celebrating God in this church. They were celebrating their politics. What do you think about it? I mean, you've been to some of these churches before.
Oh yeah. I would love to name the names, but I'm like, I go to the black side of it now, so I don't want to name the name of the full church. But
y'all got a segregated church on the inside. Inside, it used to be churches were segregated on Sunday mornings, but
I mean, the leaders are segregated. The white leader actually has a flood of predominantly black people because he's located in the most multicultural county here in Gwinnett. So it's one of the biggest churches there. But anyway, I digress. Seeing this, though, does give me the heebie-jeebies. It does give me the throwback of me sitting in that particular church and hearing the pastors just give the message of, you know, God put these people in positions, or just the whole message of that. And I feel like I can't, when they say that, it's almost like, you know, the person is there, but we're going to fight the fight, you know. God allowed the person to take position. It is what it is, but he's putting us in position also that we're armored. It wasn't that kind of narrative. It was more so we have to obey the rules of our leader, whoever that may be. And I almost got up and bicycle kicked that man in the air.
So wait. You lost me for a second. You're saying this happened when Donald Trump was president.
When Donald Trump won presidency, they said, well, we have to, the Bible says that we have to obey whatever our leader says. And we must follow the law of the land. And I looked at him and I'm saying, you're going to tell black people that on today. You're also going to tell black people that their nations that they've come from are cursed. And that's
same
why
people
don't say, them Africans in the church, and they told them that every time I go to Africa and I'm sitting here with, you know, when I do my mission trips on Africa, this is what he said, you know, I go there and it's just like, you guys are cursed. You know what I'm talking. And then he looked at everybody, you know what I'm talking about. And I said, grab my little purse. I told you, I didn't even put my finger up, and I was out of there. I was out of there in my 6-inch heels, out of there. Okay. Walked a little slow because I had to make it to the steps, but I was out of there. And as soon as I got up the steps, had to go down a little hill, you know, but I was out of there and finally got my car. Then I was like, skirt. Never came back to that church since. But now I say this to say, when I watch people like this, and when I see this, and the fact that politics has found its way into the church, but not even as a conversation, more so as a ruling that you have to obey what's right. And when I say what's right, I mean the right, literally GOP. I mean their ways, and it's to me, it's lost value in the church, a lot of it, because not only are they doing tick and talks for service to break into service, they are forcing you to follow the damn GOP rulings and laws and way of thinking, and because they think that's all because people on the right mostly don't agree with abortion, and that to them is the most godly thing that they could ever put out there. And so because they don't believe in abortion, and that's very godly. Everything else we should follow from them. And that's why I'm like, girl, this ain't even this is not even like, y'all have to understand, this same person don't like you because you black. That's really it. Like, this same person thinks that you're on welfare. This same person thinks that because you chose to leave your job to take care of your kids, that you're lazy. The same person thinks that because you speak another language, that you are stupid because you don't speak English without an accent. This same person believes that black education doesn't matter. This person believes that you shouldn't be wearing a mask because Jesus paid it all on the cross. I just,
and is preaching it in his pulpit every Sunday. And I want to ask every single one of these pastors, how many funerals have you performed from COVID-19? That's what I want to know. You up here preaching every Sunday, talking about Donald Trump, this big lie, that COVID-19, anti-vax, that. Where, how many people have you buried? They're not talking about that number, because that number is inconvenient for their goal to become the next Jerry Falwell or the next, Jimmy Swagger or whoever they're trying to be. I've sinned before God. That said, shout out to everyone who makes this show possible. Patreon.com. Patreon.com/like it or not. Make sure that you get access to it. We want to apologize to our patrons yesterday. We did not have an after party yesterday. We are getting ready to have one now. So shout out to everyone who makes this possible in the background. David, Dwayne, James, DJ Exclusive. You're not here today, brother, but we miss you and we'll see you tomorrow. Brother Carl Mack, Sister Georgia Ford on the clock, Rebecca Azor. Thank you so much for all that you do, like it or not. And we're going to the after party. In the meantime, those of you who are not patrons, go to Pascal's show, the Pascal show on YouTube. Go and support our brother. If you are a patron or you want to become a patron, patreon.com/like it or not. And we will see you in the after party. David, it is in your hands. Give us something lively as we get out of here. We'll see everybody tomorrow.
Set the potato, sunlight that always stays, dinner by the waterway.
Hey,
it's that sweet life. Raise your cross. Made some dude crack a smile. He asked if I could stay a while.
Why?
I'm living that high life. Time to catch a flight, but you can make me go. Unlocking all the memories of my new home. Ventilated echoes playing to and fro. To and fro, back and forth, yeah. Caught some kids dancing in the alleyway. Crazy how the melodies began to play, yeah. Tell me how you feeling when you hear the lyric, yeah. My heart's in Stockholm. Now